Hi there, Lyndon Hosking here. Welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. What a great show we've got for you tonight. We've got all the usual segments, but we've got something really special tonight. We've got one half of Team Moloney, Andrew the Monster Moloney, and his manager Tony Tolj, who will join us just in a second. But I'll just introduce firstly my co-host Grant Tazzie Brown and Peter Maniatis. How are we, guys?
Good to be on the show, boys.
Well, as I said, we've got a real treat. We've got Andy and Tony just about to come on now, and yeah, they've certainly had an eventful last few months, that's for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a great few months for them. Jason obviously hit the W, but Andrew flying the flag heavily.
For sure. Well, let's... sorry, Tazzie?
There's two guys that have gone on the road and done everything, for their careers. True blue Aussies that are utmost respect for the boys, mate. I love both of them, mate. Both just doing it the way they should be doing it. It's awesome.
Yeah. 100%. Well, without further ado, let's bring them in. Andrew the Monster Moloney and Tony Tolj. How are we, guys?
Going well, thanks, mate. Thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah, no worries at all, mate. So, just firstly, let everyone know why there's only one half of Team Moloney on tonight, and that's because we've had a new addition to the team in the recent days, mate.
Yeah, that's right. Jason and his partner Georgia had another baby girl just a couple of days ago, so they actually just got out of the hospital tonight, and I just got the chance to finally meet her, so that was pretty special, and exciting times in the family.
Yeah, no, that's great, mate. It's well, we send all our best wishes to Jason and Georgia, and I think he'll be hoping for a boy at some stage, won't he? I mean, we've got to keep flying the flag for future years. Although there's obviously women's boxing these days as well.
Yeah, well, I think part of him probably wanted a boy, but part of him also wanted a sister for a best mate for his other daughter Isla to grow up with, so I think he was happy either way, and I think he's going to pull the pin at 2, so I'll have to take care of the boys department and try again.
No, well, again, all our best wishes to Jason and Georgia. They're a great couple, and we send all our love and best wishes. So, and Tony, mate, you have to be probably the most quarantined person almost on earth at the moment, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's pretty insane. It's been, since the quarantine pandemic started, I've done nearly 6 months in quarantine. So,
So how do you do that, mate? Because I think when you first got back from the Americas recently, you had to do 2 weeks in Sydney, then another 2 weeks in Perth.
Yeah, so you got to do 2 weeks in the hotel, but then you can do 2 weeks at home, so you can't leave the house at all. You on the second day you got to leave to do another COVID test, and then on day 12 you got to do another COVID test.
Yeah, it's just nuts. So you can have that, guys. Well, I'm sure that's one of the things we'll speak about tonight. But Andy, mate, we're gonna start with you, mate. I still remember 4 years ago, almost to the day, we sat in the StubHub Centre in Los Angeles, and we watched the Superfly 2, I think it was at the time. And I remember we spoke about, I think we had a little quick interview that we did on video about it. Mate, did you think that 4 years later that you are right in with that, right at the upper echelon of the super flyweights in the world now?
Yeah, that's right. You yourself introduced myself and Jason to, the world scene and the top guys in our division, and we saw them live in person, and that really gave us a lot of confidence and showed us the level we want to get to, and gave us confidence to see the guys in the flesh, because when you're sitting here in Australia, those big fights in America just seem so far away and almost impossible to reach. But once you're over there and you see it in person, it makes it that much more real, and you realise that those are possible. It is possible to compete on that world stage, and put in a lot of hard work and made a lot of sacrifices, and 4 years later, we're headlining shows our own in America. So it's the work is starting to pay off. Unfortunately, I didn't get the result that I wanted in that fight, which would have opened up some huge doors for me, and I would have actually ended up fighting the guys that we saw on that night in Estrada or Chocolatito. But unfortunately, I came up short this time around, but I'm back in the gym now and just working as hard as I can to improve, to make sure I get back to that level and one day share the ring with those guys.
Yeah, what do you got there, Tazzie?
Oh, Andrew, how are you, mate?
Good, Tazzie, how are you?
Yeah, good, brother. I mean, geez, we go back so long, mate. And, I've watched you and Jason, I don't know how many times we'd have you in Tazzie with Luke Jackson, all the training camps, amateur, pro, before Com Games. And I've just seen you both just flourish, and couldn't be any more proud of you and Jason, mate, how you've just gone to that next level, mate. And as I said, mate, I've watched the journey.
Nah, thanks, Tazzie. Appreciate it, mate. Yeah, we're getting there. We've been very lucky, and we have been in some big fights over the last 16 months. And fortunately myself, I've headlined 2 shows in America and was co-featured at Terence, Crawford, Carl Brooks. So we've certainly had some big fights and starting to crack that real world level. But there's still many, so much more to come, and I still believe that I'm improving every day in the gym. So there's much more to come.
100%, mate. As I said, look, I remember we had a talk there as an amateur, and not long before you went and won the gold medal in over in Scotland, mate. You know what I mean? And then from there, you've just gone on and on, mate. So as I said, like you've been so dedicated. You and Jason, you've gone over it. As I said, the quarantines, you've done what real fighters should do, and it's a credit to you both. And before I let you speak, mate, how'd you get the nickname Noddy?
Noddy?
Yeah, I haven't heard that one in a while. You gave that to me, Taz. Some hard training camps down in Tazzie, and after a hard training camp, we'd go out for a night out to celebrate, and I'd always fall asleep because we've been working too hard. So it's good times. But going back to that, Taz, that's a conversation that I remember so clearly, so long ago, was that when I asked you for advice, I got offered a scholarship at the AIS for the leading up to the Commonwealth Games in 2014, and at that time I was sort of not sure whether I should take it at this particular scholarship, because again I was going to have to be away from home and not work for a year or so, and at that stage a lot of my mates were starting to make good money in their jobs and buy their first houses and drive nice cars, and I didn't know whether I should stay at home and continue working and set myself up for the future, or make that risk and sacrifice and go to the AIS. And you said to me, trust me, mate, your boxing career is very short. Make the sacrifices now and it'll pay off. And I took the scholarship and went on to win gold at the Commonwealth Games. So I always appreciate that advice you gave me.
No, mate. It meant a lot that day. And I said when you won the gold, I was just anything to help, mate. And I'm just glad that you went along that way. And obviously, I know Luke Jackson played a big part too of your coming on. He was such a great role model as an Aussie captain. And I'm just glad to have any input at all, mate. And so I'm so proud of you and Jason. And I wish you all the very best for the future, career, life, kids, everything, mate. You're great people.
Nah, thank you, Tazzie. Appreciate it, mate.
Go ahead,
Andrew,
Pete.
how are you, buddy?
Good, Peter. How are you?
Good. Look, travelling to America when you knew there was like 100,000 cases a day, and you guys, the whole team, apart from Angelo, was the only one that was vaccinated. You guys were unvaccinated. Is that correct?
Correct, yep.
How was training and also commuting between places so you don't get exposed to any type of virus? What's some of the measures you guys were going to sort of keep it as safe as possible, I guess, because you don't really know where to go and, where it strikes?
Yeah, that's right. Well, basically going over that third time, that's when we sort of realised just how risky it was. There'd been the Teofimo Lopez got COVID and had to cancel his fight with Kambosos, and then Tyson Fury got COVID and had to cancel his huge fight with Wilder. And so we talked together as a team and realised just how strict we needed to be this time around. And we were on all 3 trips, but particularly this last trip when the cases were just going up so regularly and fights were being cancelled all the time. We got all the sparring partners and the whole team in a private house, which we rented for the month or so that we were there before the fight. And then we had private access to the top-ranked gym, which was only people who had negative COVID tests could train there. And it was only really our team and maybe 1 or 2 other people that were training there at the time, and obviously training at different times. The gym would be sprayed every day, and Top Rank themselves were doing everything they could to keep things as safe as possible. And for ourselves, we just did not leave the house at all other than going to training or going for a run. We even had our groceries delivered to the house and everything. So we just knew that we couldn't take any risks, and we just did everything we could to stay away from anyone in the public and avoid any chance of getting COVID. So we did it well. I think we took all the right measures and obviously made it to the fight. No one in the team got sick or got COVID, thankfully, and we got the fights done and got home safe and sound.
Tony, I was just going to ask one for you here. Andy, you sort of touched on it then, but life in the hub or the fight bubble, I think it was called. Just how difficult was it? Obviously, Andy's just sort of talked about it then, but how hard was it? Just from the trip from Australia over to America and all the restrictions in place and all the rest of it. Sorry, Andy, I just showed not a good highlight there of you, by the way, but. Everyone watching, he did win this fight, but just from going to America and all the restrictions in place and everything else you had to go, and then being in the bubble, in the top ranked bubble at the MGM, just how hard was it to prepare for these big fights that the boys had?
It was very difficult. The first time was obviously completely new. The second time we had the experience, but the first time coming in, you're in that bubble. So we prepared as much as we could. We brought our own food. We smuggled in microwaves and hot pots and all the cooking devices. And then obviously you had to. They had not a homemade sauna, but a reduced sauna. So just to cut weight was all just a new experience as well. But yeah, we done that. Then the second time we got more used to it because we experienced all that stuff, and then the third time was in Oklahoma, and that was just life as normal, basically.
So, I was just going to say the boys have, and I've seen this firsthand, have had a few fiery moments over the years in the gym and everything else. How did you go? With the boys living together for it would have been almost months on end, wouldn't it? How did you go? Did you have to be a bit of a referee sometimes? Oh, hang on, I'll just... sorry, Tony.
No, everything was fine. The only issues that we had was, unfortunately, Jason got executed by me and Andrew and Paul. That was the tag team partners there. And from memory, I think it was Jason and his partner owe me and Andrew about 1.3 million, because that's the bets that we had going over there.
I can imagine, as I said, I've seen it. As I said, I've seen it firsthand in the gym, and certainly there's always been a rivalry, which is good because you push yourselves along a lot, obviously. But I could just imagine all the weeks and months together. Tazzie?
Tony, mate, how are you, buddy? Massive, massive appreciation what you've been doing with the boys and just in general in boxing, mate. You're one of the best managers in the world. And the dedication you put to your boys, by your example, you go on quarantine everywhere around the world for your boys, mate. And hats off to you, Tony. Massive fan. Mate, I've got a quarantine in Tasmania for my show in a few weeks. Any advice, mate? Like, what do I do?
Oh, have we lost Tony there? I'm not sure.
Yeah, might have lost him.
We might have. That's okay. Well, I'm sure he'll dial back in, Tony. Go.
Andy, what was I going to say? How's things looking with Jason? Like, for getting this, next fight, like a Donaire or something like that. Is that sort of on the cards?
I really don't know, to be honest. I know he's right up there in all the rankings now, so he's knocking on a door for a world title very soon. But I'm really not too sure how things are going to play out. It really depends who gets the Inui fight. And if it's Casemiro or Donaire, then hopefully Jason can get the other one that's left there without a fight.
Raymond Gabello's got the Donaire fight, the interim champion. It's been announced. It got announced 2 days ago by Sandman. So they're both Filipinos. Raymond Gabello's from the Sandman gym. He's 24 and zip. It's actually a sparring and training partner, Randy Pedalcore, and they're best friends. He's a 24-year-old kid, really great. I've known him since he's 15. Tough as nails. I don't think he's as polished as Jason, but he is tough and he is strong. He beat Rodriguez in a split decision. He's looked after now by MP Promotions and Sean Gibbons and Sandman Jim, and he's got a shot at Donaire. So they're working it out right now. So there'll be 2 Filipinos going at it. So possibly Jason could get the winner.
You back, Tony?
Yeah, but back. Sorry, mate. I can't take a call from it. The feed died.
I think Tazzie, you're just actually in the middle of just saying how great a manager Tony is, and then he bugged out on us.
Yeah, just say, mate, amazing job of everyone, not just Moloney's, but Bruno, who's just beating every Aussie they can find, killing everyone they put in front of him, mate. What's next for Bruno too, mate? Obviously, what a year he's had.
Yeah, he's had a massive year, and bigger things to come. He'll be. He's just about to finalise his deal. It's going to be in towards the end of the year, December. We can't announce the opponent yet, but it's going to be one of Australia's leading super featherweights fighting him in Australia. So it'll be another massive fight.
No, that's awesome, mate. And as I said, I talked to another good friend of ours, Mike Altamura, mate, and I both regard you guys as 2 of the best in the world, mate. He's sort of, you give everything to your fighters. And how long have you been in the game, mate, as a manager? And obviously, what sort of led you to get into being a boxing manager?
I've been in the game for probably 20 years now. I originally started we're doing graphic design and the posters and all that kind of stuff for all the fights in Perth with Craig Christian at Ari's gym.
Yep.
And got more involved with the managerial side of things with him because he was very mischievous and he had quite a few holidays, so I had to steer the ship when he was on holiday.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I know Craig. Good.
Just leave it
guy.
at that, Tazzie.
Yeah. What's that, Lyndon?
I said just leave it at that, I think, on that one. Peter?
Yeah. Awesome, mate. Well, as I said, mate, congratulations with everything you've done. I mean, Andrew to a world title, Jason to fight in the pound for pound, one of the pound for pound kings, and they're both still in the mix. Andrew, I know will bounce back, and be world champion. I honestly believe that, and I think Jason, definitely will as well. You know what I mean? It's all about the right time, the right place, right fight. They're both in there, mate. They're both the 2 leading Aussies that are over there doing it, and of utmost respect. And also one more thing, Andy, what was it like, Terence Crawford, playing table tennis with him? Seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, no, Terence is a good bloke. Pretty easy on the table tennis though. I had to let him have a win because we were fighting the next day, and I didn't want to rattle his nerves. So we currently stand at 1 win each. So we're going to have a trilogy match sometime down the track, and I'll take care of him for sure.
That's cool, mate. That's cool.
Go ahead, Pete.
What was that?
I said, go ahead, Pete. I think you were next for.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. I was going to say, Andrew, when you got that hard knock against you where you thought you'd won, everyone thought you were going to get the nod. We went to the cameras. We saw everyone pretty vocal. No one could see a clear punch, a clear headbutt, so we all thought it's a punch. That 20 minutes must have seemed like an hour, and then when the result was announced that it was a no contest, how much momentum did you lose from that going into your next fight with the same guy? What was your feeling that I've already won this, I shouldn't be in this position? You know, did you have a little bit of that? Because fighters that have had rough decisions against them, like Fennick, and there's been a number, they kind of lose something along the way, and it's sort of a heart-wrenching thing to do. How did you feel about the whole thing going into the fight, the third one? Did you lose a little bit of something because of what they did to you or not?
No, I don't think so at all. I think, if anything, it just made me more hungry and more determined and going into that third fight. But unfortunately, wanting to win so badly in that third fight probably cost me from fighting at my very best. I feel like I rushed a lot of my work and was a little bit unsettled because I just wanted to win so badly. But I don't think it took anything from me, apart from obviously something that I, would have gone down as a two-time world champion and regained my world title, and would have been an extremely satisfying and special moment for myself to avenge that loss that I suffered 6 months earlier to that. But I don't think it took anything from me. If anything, both of these losses have just made me more hungry and more determined to improve as a fighter and come back stronger and make sure that I do become world champion again. So I still think the best is yet to come.
Oh, well said.
Tony, one for you, mate. We just getting back, when the boys first went to Top Rank, of course, you had some great promoters in Australia at one time or another, and but tell us the process of getting the boys hooked up with Top Rank, because I'm guessing that it's they'd have so many fighters from all around the world that would be trying to hook up with them. How did you go about facilitating that relationship between Top Rank and the boys?
Just there was a lot of going back and forward with the guys, and yeah, it was a lengthy process, just trying to get everything that we wanted to do. We obviously I love boxing in Australia, but when you start getting to the world title eliminators and the world title fights, those costs are astronomical. And and Top Rank showed a lot of interest in the boys, and there was actually a bit of interest, or more than a bit of interest. There was some offers from Frank Warren as well in Queensbury Boxing, and we spoke and we opted to take the deal with Top Rank, and they've been fantastic. It's like a big family there as well, so it's just been great since we've signed with them.
Do you see, with Top Rank, do you see them promoting the guys in Australia at some stage, or there's predominantly overseas? I know Danny obviously promoted the boys at the end of 2019, I think it was, on the Barry Hall and Gallen show. Do you see them maybe, you don't have to tell us if there's something in the wind, but is it something they'd look at with Top Rank? I know Eddie Hearn's talked about it. Is something that Top Rank could do as well?
Yes, we've actually got in our agreement that we have one fight a year in Australia, and that's what we'd like to do. And I know Bob Arum himself is desperate to come back to Australia. He loves the place, always talks about it. But with COVID, it's just so difficult. Even this last fight, we working for 6 months with the Victorian government and they actually assisted financially to get everything over the line, but the quarantine was just was a dead end. They wouldn't come, and there's nothing we could do.
Yeah, well, yeah, it must be right. Must be tough. Go ahead, Tazzie. Sorry, mate.
No good, mate. Yeah, a question for both of you guys. Obviously, a guy that I really respect, I've known him for many years, Angelo Hyder. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves as a trainer. I believe he's one of the best coaches and best motivators in the game. He knows boxing back to back. His contacts is next level in the sport worldwide. And obviously we know him as a character. But I mean, how much has Andrew, helped you and Jason, with his experience and with his work ethic and just all his input?
Yeah, 100% Tazzie. He 100% does not get the recognition he deserves, here in Australia especially. I truly believe he's the best trainer in the world, and should be regarded as one of the top trainers in the world by everyone, but he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. And that's partly from him, because he doesn't want any recognition and he goes under the radar, but he is just an incredible coach. So with him and our trainer, Tony Nobbs up here as well, we've got such a great team. And honestly, I still feel like we've been up here for almost 5 years now, and I still feel like I improve every single day when I go into the gym. And that's all we can ask for as a fighter, is to be continually learning and improving and becoming a better fighter every day. And I honestly feel that's the truth. And even though I'm 30 years old now, I still feel like I've just got so much more to achieve, because I'm just getting better and better every day. Even since this last fight, we've been back home now a couple of weeks, and I really feel like I'm just so hungry now after that loss to get back to becoming world champion. And I really feel like I'm going to a whole new level over the last few weeks especially.
And Tony, with you, like how much has Angelo inputted you? And I mean, he knows everyone in the game. I met him when I was like 20 years old with Fennec. I mean, I've got a great relationship with him. How much has he inputted you too, just with his knowledge and his connections in the sport?
Been massive. He's been a big mentor of mine. We've been working together with himself and me and Craig back in the day since I was, I think, 22 or 23. Been in boxing for a year. Then we got Chris John, who was the world champion for a decade. So we were spoiled, and Angelo was very instrumental in all of that, and especially when Chris John fought Marquez. Craig's his main trainer, and he was on another holiday. So Angelo sort of stepped in and done so much to get everything over the line. And Marquez is a Hall of Famer now, and it's just been a massive influence, and it's just a great friend.
Yeah.
Pete, you got a last question for the boys?
No, I was just going to say, guys, enjoy your time now, because don't think, especially Andrew, I mean, obviously you guys are twins, and whatever Andrew does reflects on Jason, whatever Jason does. What you did against Franco, that was a real deal. And even though you didn't come back with a bacon, you put in a cracker, and Jason really fought well up against a good fighter. And you guys went across, you went abroad, there was COVID, there was a lot of things happening, and you basically did what you had to do, and it was real old school Australian spirit. So be proud. And I know after the fight, I saw you interviewed Andrew, you looked gutted, and you said this is going to be a long way back, but it ain't a long way back, trust me. It's just the beginning, because you're already on that platform, and it's just like a little crack. You can easily patch that up. It's not like anything collapsed, and you're in a very good position. I'm sure Tony and Angelo are just going to keep improving, and you just keep chipping away, and you'll definitely get there. So stay positive.
Thanks, Pete. You're right, I'm still gutted from the result. I still think about, what could have been had I have got that win and got that world title back. But I've just got to use that now as as motivation to train hard every day and get back there as soon as possible. And as I said, I still feel like I'm improving, so I'm hoping I can get back in the ring before this year finishes and get a good win on the board, get myself right back up in the ratings, and hopefully next year's a huge year and I can fight for a world title again in 2022.
I got one finally for you, Tony, mate. You're in the AFL hub over there this week. Who's going to win the grand final over there, mate? And what's the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere is great. I think the Bulldogs are going to win, but I'm happy for either side to win. Just because Bulldogs are a great side, or exciting, and Melbourne haven't won it forever. So I'm still trying to get myself a ticket. I haven't got one yet, but I think I'll be right.
I'm sure
One last one for Tony.
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
I was going to say, Tony, let us know about October 1. You've got a show at the Metro. It's one of the
I forgot about that.
more active shows in Australian boxing. What's going on? How many fights? Must have been a nightmare trying to matchmake a show with the governor you got in WA. He doesn't let anyone in there, so it has to be all locals.
Well, it's not completely local. There's 11 fights. There's 2 state titles, 1 Australasian title. There's someone coming from Adelaide, but apart from that, it's all WA guys, and it was very difficult. I matched a show when I was in America, trying to sort out tickets when I'm in a opposite side of the world, and then I'm in quarantine. So it's all worked out well. We've apart from one corporate box, which is like the tables, they're all sold out. So everyone's a winner.
Oh, well done, mate. Also, good luck with Wes Kappa when he fights Joel Camilleri. All the best to your team.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, that'll be a good fight, and I should be having possibly another fighter on the same night as well. That should be finalised pretty soon.
That's great stuff, mate. Well, keep us in the loop. But just wanted to say, Andy, mate, we're all extremely proud of you and Jason with everything you do, mate. And the whole of Australia just admires you guys for what you've done. And we have no doubt that you'll be back amongst the world title belts pretty soon. And hopefully Jason obviously is not too far away. So really appreciate you guys being on, and all our very best for the future.
No, thank you, mate. And I'll just mention publicly for the people who don't know that are watching just how much of a huge impact that you had and the part that you played to get us to this level.
Appreciate that, mate.
The promoted basically all our fights up until getting signed by Top Rank, and put us in with great competition, which set us up to make it and to compete on this level. I really feel like that's something that lets a lot of these Aussies down, is that they just don't have the backing to fight good fighters, and they sort of get build up a record of 20-0 and things like that, and then get the opportunity to fight for world titles and basically get blown away. But it takes a good promoter in Australia to back you and to give you good opposition on your way up, so that you're ready for those steps. And thanks to you, we were able to do that, and I believe that's why we're competing at this level now. And just want to say thank you publicly to the people who didn't know that.
I really appreciate it, mate, and it was my pleasure to play a small part of your rise up the tree. Tony's had enough. He's cut out again, but that's all. See you, Tony. Hang on, we'll quickly bring him back on. All right, here he comes. He's going to come back on in a sec there. But no, I really appreciate that, Andy. Here he comes.
Bad connection again.
So we don't. But no, as I said, mate, it's my pleasure, and as a small part of your career, but it just gives us great pleasure. The whole team that was there was about 3 years ago now that played a part. There's so many. I'm sure you've got all your sponsors and so many people that have played a part, and we can't forget Unca Ronnie Picken. He'll be shouted if we don't give him a mention. So a big shout out to Unca. He'll take all the credit for your success. He's probably just hiding under the table in embarrassment now as he's watching this, but he's great, and But as I said, mate, great to be part of it and be associated with Tony and Angelo as well. So again, all the best, and can't wait to talk soon and see what the next chapter of Team Moloney is.
No, thank you, mate. Appreciate you having me on the show, and keep up the great work. It's all these helps to build the sport here in Australia, and that's what we need. So keep up the great work.
Great. Thanks,
Make
guys.
sure you watch Tazzie Tirade.
All right. So there was Andrew Moloney and Tony Tolj, just such great guys, and
that was awesome, mate. That was awesome.
To be, I think Pete, obviously you're involved as well in the promotions and stuff, and it was just it's a small sort of chapter of their journey, but really great to be part of it, and just great guys, great families, and just a credit to Australian boxing and the sport in general.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, well that was awesome. We can't wait to have them back on, but we've got another show to get on with now, and we'll firstly go to you, Tazzie. We've got some Aussie news on the go at the moment. What's happening around the traps in the Aussie boxing scene?
Well, we've got Tim Zhu will fight Japanese Takashi Inui on Wednesday, November 17 on the Gold Coast. So great word for No Limit and all involved there. That's huge. Tim puts his number one world ranking, WBO world rank on the line. So, I mean, this guy's a former world title challenger. He gave Jamie Mwanga a very tough fight. So, mate, the Tim Zhu train is just moving forward, and I wish him all the best in his team. And I'm so happy that he gets another good fight before he fights the world title. He could have sat on the bench and just waited, but he's a true fighter. He wants the best out of himself. He expects only the best from himself, and can't wait to see Tim go to work and get another great victory.
And the undercard, mate, how good's that looking at the moment?
Well, mate, I don't know if this is a light middleweight round robin or something going on. We've got Ben Mahoney versus Wade Ryan. Well, mate, that's a cracker.
Yep.
Wade Ryan, I've got so much respect for that guy. He's a road warrior. He's fought everyone in boxing. He's fought everyone, and he goes to your backyard. And he's got a few losses, but lately he's just got this momentum. He's winning on pay pay-per-view, and I'm wrapped in Wade Ryan, mate, and that's going to be a cracker. Mate, Joel Camilleri, managed by the great Penny Matiadis. I mean, the most active guy on social media and a great guy, mate. He's got a great fight against West Kappa, mate. So Kamakeo is on fire since he's moved to Queensland and under the management of Penny Matiadis. So he's really in with a good chance. I think he'll win this fight. It's a good fight. Kappa's no slouch, but I mean he's been with Sam Solomon, etc. But so I don't know if it's a light middleweight thing. Dennis Hogan versus Tommy Brown. Now is that at light middle or middle weight?
Light middle.
Well, mate, so it's pretty much a light middleweight bloody fiesta, pretty much on the undercard of No Limit.
We just need the head splitter in there at some stage, mate.
Say again?
We just need the head splitter in there as well, and that'd be great. I know he's obviously promoted by DNL.
No, he's a middleweight, though.
I thought he was coming down. Okay, so he's still at middleweight, is he?
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but mate, I reckon what a great card. Well done to No Limits, Matty Rose and all the boys. Then we're going on to George Gambosis now. It looks like promoters have tried to put the date back again, which is disgusting. I mean, how long does Gambosis have to wait to get his shot? I mean, so the fight's booked in for October 4th at the Hulu Theatre in Madison Square Garden, but the promoter's trying to consider maybe moving the fight to the 16th of October at the Barclays Centre. So lawyers are now involved, trying to stop any further changes to the event. So, I mean, let's just give George his shot. He's waited. He's been over in America for I don't know how long, over 6 months, and it's been postponed here 3 times. Mate, he deserves a shot. Let's hope that he gets it on October 4th and no later. Lucas Big Daddy Brown's fighting Croatians Alan Barbrick on October 30th in UK on the undercard of Dylan White versus Otto Whalen. That's a matchroom boxing show. So Lucas is back. I don't know how he's going to be after the embarrassing loss to Gallen. But I mean, he's still got a name. He was an interim world champion in Chechnya, which is one of my favourite countries, by the way. And good luck to Big Daddy Brown. He's still got a bit left. And but going back to George, mate, Gambosis needs to get this fight locked in. Thriller has just, like I had my rant last week, I I don't know what they're doing. Do they actually know what they're doing? I mean, give him his shot. He's over there. He's sacrificed. I think he's missing the birth of his third child.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get George the fight he deserves, and I hope he flogs Lopez.
I think it's
I
the fifth,
really do, mate.
the fifth
I don't know
change,
if he can, but geez, I hope he does.
Yeah, sorry, Taz, I was just going to say, I think if it changes, it'll be the fifth change to the date and location. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
It's next level, mate. It's actually just a joke. And, I mean, he's hanging in there and he will get his day. He will get his chance. And, geez, by God, I hope he makes the most of it, mate, because I actually feel for the guy because he's just – he deserves it. Just make it happen already, yeah? Please.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Pete, with the Tazzie touched on before with Joel Camilleri, so obviously you're obviously stepping him up. And what's your plans with Joel going forward after this one if he gets through?
Look, there's talk that we possibly could sign a 3-fight deal with no limit.
Yep.
With Joel. It could lead to a possible, he could fight Ben Moloney, he could fight the headhunter, the head splinter, as you call it.
Wade Ryan, maybe.
Yeah. Wade Ryan. There's a lot of fights there for Joel. Joel's the only guy that's been a distance with Tim Tszyu, so out of all, apart from Dwight.
And he's close with Tim, isn't he?
Yeah, they're pretty close. They're good mates. They talk every day, basically, and he goes across and does sparring with Tim, and he's very close with the team. So Joel's ready to step up, and he's been training very hard, and he's got different forms of training to his bandwagon. He's got a lot of people on board. He's got Paul Briggs doing special stuff with him as well. So you're going to see a very improved Joel Camilleri, and I know Wes Kappa's good as well, and I know Wes is going to bring it. And they're both ranked around 60 in the world on BoxRec, so the winner's going to get a bit of a leapfrog on BoxRec as well. So it's going to be a good fight for the public, and congratulations to him for getting that fight on.
Yeah, you've got to give him credit. I mean, he uprooted himself from Melbourne and moved up to Brisbane, and he's pretty much put himself up there. And I think he went to Glen Rushton, I think, first, didn't he? Now he's with Dundee Kim, sorry. Yep. And he's obviously done so well to get a supporter base up there and sponsors. So hats off to him.
Yeah.
Peter, are you any part of the social media onslaught of Joel, or is it just him himself? Have you had
Peter does it all.
Maybe gave him a few tips on how to handle himself and how to sort of talk the talk because he's done it. Have you had any input with that, Peter?
No, not really. I don't really get involved in social media that much. Mate, I hate typing. I'm not really a typing person that gets in there. People type there and stuff. It's hard for me. I just don't get motivated on social media. It's a real effort for me.
All right. Well, that's the Aussie news out of the way. Pete, what have you got on the world news front? There's plenty's going on there at the moment.
Yeah. Alexander Usyk is fighting Joshua. I mean, that's his weekend. Joshua, look, he's right at the moment probably going very well. He's got big fights lined up after this, but this is a dangerous fight. Usyk is 6'3", 100 kilo. He's a southpaw. He's no walk in the park.
World champion, cruiserweight.
Yeah, you go through his cruiserweight record. It's very similar to Evander Holyfield at the same time. So he's got good credentials. He's going to be a very hard opponent. This is really a guy you don't want to underestimate because he hasn't got many expectations going into the fight, and I've just got a feeling he's going to put in a cracking fight. It's a dangerous fight for Joshua. It is a dangerous fight. So, I mean, it would not surprise me if there was an upset. How's that for a comment? I think it's a pretty dangerous fight. I think the bookmakers have got Joshua at $1.34 and Usyk up $3 or $4. But, I mean, it's not one-sided betting. $1.34, I've seen $1.05, $1.06, and they've lost. So... He's in there, and he's in there with a great fight. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be an entertaining fight.
Okay, what else you got there? Canelo and Caleb Plant. Bit of fireworks going on there this week.
Yeah, I don't know if that was pre-rehearsed or it was meant to happen because the left hook was way too short from Plant. It was like a setup, and then he slapped the right hand.
Looked pretty sharp though, didn't he, Canelo?
Yeah, no, I don't know if that was... Because the way it was sort of rehearsed, it looked rehearsed to me. And yeah, it was just an odd one, but I think he slapped him a bit too well because the glasses ricocheted onto the side of his head and might have cut him up a little bit, just briefly grazed him. But I don't like that type of stuff for boxing.
No,
I
me
think
either.
it's a joke. I think that fight sells itself. Plant's a very good thinking fighter. And look, Canelo's only 5'8". People don't realise how short Canelo is. And I mean, Plant's a decent size. He looks 5'10", 5'11", which
Looks
he is.
massive.
So that's going to be a pretty good. I mean, Canelo starts favourite against anyone these days. He's, I think, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. But it's going to be a good fight up against an undefeated opponent. I don't think they need to do any stupid stuff during press conferences and turn it into a circus. So it had a touch of violence to it too when people came in. And sometimes you get hangers-on that are idiots anyway, and they feel that it's their time to shine. And last thing you want is someone just to lay a punch on someone else that doesn't realise there might be a script here. And it turns into an all-in brawl, and it's an ugly scene. I mean, that's why I like Manny Pacquiao. You go to his press conferences, you go to his weigh-ins, the fighters love him, everyone loves him, he comes out laughing, and you know he's willing to fight till the death. So you don't want these guys that pull mean heads, that do this, that do. I'm not talking about this, but they don't need it. Everyone's going to watch it. Is going to watch it. That's not going to get one more pay-per-view by doing crap like that.
No, agreed. Well, speaking of the great man, Manny Pacquiao, some news this week that was it a bit of a shock, or did you see it coming?
That he's going for
retire.
The presidency of the Philippines.
No,
he hasn't retired yet. I mean, that was done on a platform that he was talking, but he hasn't officially retired. But he did put officially his hat in the ring for the presidency of the Philippines in 2022. I've spoken to a few of the Team Pacquiao people. I've spoken to his brother Bobby. Look, this is Manny's passion. He wants to be there for the people. He wants to be a servant for the people. I know they're talking to Amir Khan to possibly do a fight in early January, because then he can go off and do his electoral campaign. Whether that fight happens or doesn't happen, that's probably the only fight they can put together that fits in with his schedule that's going to get the attention. And Amir Khan's pretty keen to do the fight. I spoke to Amir Khan's uncle, Taz, who's a good mate of mine, and he confirmed everything. And Shaw Gibbons basically confirmed it as well. So they were in talks for a fight in London in January. If that can happen, it happens. If it doesn't happen, Manny's satisfied with his career. His family don't want him to fight. Everyone's kind of feels like he's done enough. He's heading to 43 years of age. He's been a pro fighter since he's 16 years of age. There's nothing for him left to prove. And the fact now that he's going into the elections, he's going to need to save all his energy and campaign hard, because, I mean, this guy could be the next president of the Philippines. And if he is, it's going to be a massive plus for the Philippines. I'm sure he's just going to be doing amazing things. That's just the person he is. And he's a great leader of men. And I can't wait to see him be the next president of the Philippines. I remember Ronnie Nathaniel's, a great Ronnie Nathaniel's. If people don't know who he is, he basically used to run Blow by Blow. He was a media guy for ESPN. He was like a Bruce McAvaney. Ronnie told me in, 16, 17 years ago, he said, Manny's going to be the next president of the Philippines. And I laughed. Now, thinking back, Ronnie passed away. He was actually in transit going to the fight of Manny and could have been Tim Bradley too. And he passed away in San Francisco at the airport, had a cardiac arrest at 81 years of age. And we lost a great man. But Ronnie, I know all the Team Pacquiao people that just loved Ronnie. They all turned up to his funeral, and Diane Castillo, ABS, CBN. I mean, it's a great time for Manny, and I just hope that he becomes the next president of the Philippines. I just think he's got so much to offer.
A great man and an ornament to the sport. Well, enough of the world news. I think it's come to that time of night that we always wait for and hold our breath. It is Tazzie's Tirade. All right, Tazzie, what do you got this week, mate?
Hey guys, well look, something that's always not annoyed me in boxing is all the hangers-oners that fighters get. I mean, we do all the hard work, the hard training, and all the discipline that all fighters know what it takes. But all the hangers-oners, the guys that just want to be with you to be around a fighter, They might want free tickets. They might want a bit of status being around someone who's fighting, or they might want to walk to the ring with you or be up in the ring with you afterwards. But I tell you now, who's with you when you're running, when your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and you're getting up in the winter to run 10K? Who's with you in the sauna when you're losing the last couple of kilos and you haven't drank water for a couple of days and you haven't ate anything, for the last week? I mean, who's with you there? And then who's with you also when you lose? I mean, like the thing is when you're in boxing, if you're winning, you're losing as well. I mean, when you lose, the great Keith Ellis once told me, he goes, Tazzie, when you win, they carry you out of the ring on their shoulders. When you lose, you're ripping the laces off the gloves with your teeth because no one's there with you. And people are so quick to jump the ship, That's one thing I hate about all the hangers-oners, and it's so bad in Australia, particularly. They just get around fighters, like Pete mentioned before. A lot of the ones that carry on, weigh-ins or carry on at the fights. I mean, mate, it's not trying to be a hero because you're with a fighter, mate. I mean, some people might be good close friends, but the ones I mean, the hangers-oners that just come and go and they use you for whatever reason. I've had heaps of myself when I was the main event in Tasmania for a decade. They come and go. They want tickets. They want to be hooked up at a nightclub, but they don't really care about you. And all you young boxers out there, listen to this. I've been in the game all my life at the highest level and trained with the best in the world. Mate, be careful of who you let in your team and be careful who you let in your life, because people are there for the good times only. They don't really care about you. They don't really care about your success. They're with you for as good as you can go. As soon as you lose, or as soon as you're not fighting, or you're not popular anymore, you might have had a bit of decline. They don't care. They're quick to jump. So for all you hangers-oners in boxing, you can get, what you can do. You fucking bunch of grub bums.
Tazzie's tirade. Psh. All right. Well done, mate. Well, it was more of a sermon, I think, tonight, wasn't it, Pete, rather than a tirade? Yeah. But, mate, I hear where you're coming from. But boxing's just, I suppose it's like all things, you get your entourage. Boxing, there's nothing beats a boxing entourage, does it?
Sugar Ray Robinson started the entourage stuff.
Is that right? Yeah.
But the ones that you're right, Peter. It's the ones that carry on though, and like Peter said, the ones that get messy and the ones that sort of, I don't know, you're not the one fighting. You're not the one like me and Lyndon. We spoke the other day. But when you're cutting weight, Lyndon, when you got a close fight, you was at the Olympics and the highest amateur level, and myself, as a pro or even as an amateur as well. Like you're losing those last couple of kilos. You haven't drank any water for a long time. You're in the sauna. I mean, you're doing it yourself. At the end of the day, everyone can help you or support you. But at the end of the day, you're on your own. You're the one losing the weight. You're the one in the ring fighting, and you take the loss worse than anyone. I mean, when you lose, amateur or pro, it's a shit feeling. You don't want to feel it again. So I want to try to say it's a lonely sport, and those that are there for the good times. And Lyndon, I'm sure mate, when you might have had a loss, mate, the phone calls don't come in as often as when you won a fight. You know what I mean? So
100%. Yeah, no, for sure, mate. Well, but some good points made. So, Pete,
I'm not angry tonight.
I know, angry tonight. And it suits you. It suits you, Taz. Nice and calm.
Next week, I don't know.
I disagree. I want Tazzie angry.
We'll get him worked up next week, mate. Don't worry. All right, Pete, so it's your turn, mate. Pete, slip and weave. Now, in this segment, we've got 10 quick-fire questions. You got yours organised, Tazzie, so we've got 5 each. Just short answers, yes, no, true, false, or just a couple of sentences will do. I'm going to kick off proceedings. We touched on it earlier, but is Triller trying to actually get out of staging the Lopez-Kambosos fight?
That's a good question. They've changed the date, as you said.
Seems to be doing everything they can.
And when, I feel sorry for Kambosos, but I definitely think it will happen in October. They just can't keep changing it. The commissions will get involved and they'll take the fight off them, and it'll get back to the second highest bidder, which is Matchroom. And if they don't want to do it anymore, it'll get back to top ranked bid. And, they'll be scarred out of boxing if they keep this up. So they definitely need to put it in.
Tazzie.
Pete, who wins, Joshua or Usyk?
That's a tough fight. That is a tough fight. I think it's going to be tougher than what people think. I'm tipping Joshua in a real tough fight.
Yeah, tend to agree. I think you've already
Can
answered
I
this.
make my tip? I tip Usyk.
I
Just
think
so
he's
you
a
know,
shot too. Yep.
I'll
No,
give him
I
a
think
massive chance.
now, I think you sort of answered this one a bit earlier, mate, but I'll throw it in there anyway because it was a bit preempted. But have we 100% seen the end of Manny Pacquiao? And I think you answered that a bit earlier.
I'd say a big chance, but I wouldn't be writing it off. You could have one more last fight.
Yeah.
True or false? Tim Tszyu will end up matching the achievements of Costa.
False.
Another true or false? This one, I should have got Tazzie to ask this one. Australian boxing is in the best shape in recent memory.
False.
False. Okay. That was for you, Tazzie. That's for the tirade next week.
Good. Yeah, good one. Yeah. Should they overturn allowing professionals to compete at the Olympics?
Well, you're allowed to compete up to 10 fights, so that's a bit of an each-way bet. You can have 10 fights.
But should you be allowed to? Should that actually professionals, no matter what, be allowed to compete at the Olympics?
Well, tennis players and there's soccer players and other performers at the Olympics are pros as well. I mean, when you've got Nadal winning a gold medal, that he still gets his gold medal, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I feel that's a fair statement. Up to 10 fights is fair. It gives them, a chance to actually build a career as a pro and then stay under 10 fights and then go and try and win a gold.
I'm going to put that on the talking point next week because I want to discuss that further because I'm happy to debate, and I'm sure you are too, Tazzie, by your reaction there.
It's a joke, mate. Stay out of it, mate. You want to do a tirade now? Stay out of it, mate. Stay amateur. That's it. You're pro.
We'll do a tirade next week, or we'll make it the talking point. But another true false. Was it my turn? I think it was. Yeah. True or false?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Lester Ellis would have beaten Barry Michael in a rematch. A tough one. See, putting you on the spot there. I know you know both of them very well.
I think Barry might have beat him again.
Okay.
Ooh. True or false? Tyson Fury will beat Deontay Wilder easier this time around. True or false?
False.
False. It's a bit closer, you reckon?
Yeah.
All right.
Can I predict that one as well? Can I predict
yeah,
Wilder
go for it.
beats him this time? Wilder beats him this time.
Okay. By what?
He's got something to prove. He knocks him out this time, mate. He does. Fury's a celebrity now. I think he's at that celebrity status. He's not doing the right thing, in my opinion.
We can discuss that. We might discuss that a bit more in depth when we get close to that one. Last one from me. Another Tim Tszyu question. Is he taking an unnecessary risk by fighting Inui?
Boxing's all about calculated risks. What's he going to do? We're going through COVID. He's lucky he's got a good promotional group. Ayunu's, he's a very tough fighter. His brother's a gun, comes from good stock. I've seen him fight. I rate him very highly, and Tim has to keep fighting. That's what fighters do. You can't take breaks. He's learning. He's only had 19 fights. He's 25, 26 years of age. The old saying, fighters fight. What are you going to do? He's doing what he has to do. I
agree.
credit to Tim. And
I agree, 100%. 100%.
Massive rap for Tim.
Yep.
I think he's going to win a world title.
Yeah, full credit for putting it on the line.
And I think he wins a world title too.
Last one, Tazzie.
Who is the most underrated Australian fighter ever?
Paul Ferrari.
I knew you were going to say that.
Tirade, Commonwealth champion for 15 years, 3 different weight classes. Defeated Navarrete, the WBC world champion in his own backyard in Cebu. Just a wizard, Paul. He gave everyone nightmares and 96 pro fights. Definitely the most underrated. I was thinking about it today. I probably could have had him in my top 10. I could have had him at number 10 all-time Australian greats.
I remember you mentioned that and agreed. And I don't think people realise how much of a monster that Carlos Tirade was back in the day. That what he was doing to people when he fought him.
And the stoppage, Richard Steele's stoppage, you can go back and see it. It was an absolute joke. There was nothing wrong with Paul. And Zarate was used to knocking guys out in 1 or 2 rounds. And Paul told me personally after the fight, Tirade collapsed and had to take him to hospital. He was dehydrated. So who knows what could have happened by the 15th round.
Yeah.
That
What round was it, Pete?
The 12th round.
12th.
Richard still stopped the fight. Paul never got
What were the
rocked.
scorecards, Pete? What were the scorecards? Do you know?
Zarate was in front by 5 or 6, but he's comfortably in front. But Paul was edging and starting to come into it because
He maybe could have died in the arse. He might have could have
or collapsed.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that was
He's a great fighter. Look, if you know. Look, if you don't know, you don't know boxing if you don't know Paul Ferrari, and a lot of people don't. He was a great fighter. I heard a lot of things about him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. No way. I mean, what a great boxer.
Yeah. No, agreed. All right, well, let's move on because it's my turn to take centre stage, and it's time for Lyndon's talking point. All right, so this one, I just pick a subject or a topic. Now, I promised to get Tazzie rolled up tonight. He was a bit tame, I think, in all facets of all the segments tonight. So I'm going to, I think, achieve my mission with this one and see what he has to say. Because this week's talking point is Michael Zarafa was judged unfairly for withdrawing from the Tim Tszyu fight. So just to set the scene, I think obviously everyone in Australian boxing knows what happened a week or 2 weeks, whatever it was, before the highly anticipated Tim Tszyu Michael Zarafa fight. Zarafa pulled out, citing concerns over COVID regulations, even though there wasn't anything really in place at the time. But there's always two sides of the story, and this is why we have the segment. So Tazzie, I'm going to give you first crack at it. Was he judged unfairly?
Look, Michael's a good guy. I know Michael Zarafa. He's a very good guy, and he's only been utmost respectful every time I've met up with him. And he came and done a fundraiser for the bushfires for me. So look, he's a really good guy, and he's a very good fighter. I mean, he's went over and fought Curl Brook. He's went over and fought that guy Pat Quinlan back in the day with the Russia. So look, he'll fight anyone. I think maybe his team should be the ones to blame more than Michael. I mean, look, you only do what your team says, and I mean, the whole point of the travelling thing. I mean, at the time, with the quarantine, there ended up being a quarantine because I know Kamakeo and Barry Michaels went up that day. So, I think if you really want the fight that bad, the fight was there with good money, and your chance to if you beat Tim Tszyu, then obviously you're the number one man. I don't blame Michael at all. I think his team had a lot to do with it. I'm not bagging his team either, but I mean the thing is, it was there, and it went on without him. I mean, that's the fact of it. That as I said, I think that his team should have let him know earlier if they didn't plan to travel and said, well, look, you might need a new team or you might need someone else, or I can't go. I mean, some guys in the team are known not for travelling for whatever reason, and that's their business. But I mean, I think that a fight of that magnitude on a main event between two great fighters in their prime and bad blood as well should have went ahead. So. For any reason, that it didn't go ahead, and that's what we're led to believe, obviously. That was the reason. So, as I said, look, Michael's a fighter, and, he's got big fights ahead of him, and he's already got a great ranking. So, but, I mean, I wish him all the best. But, I mean, his team, I think, are the ones – I think he got the blame for his team, and they should have protected him more, and they should have really come out and said, look, he'll fight anyone. We're the reasons. We don't like the idea. We don't want to travel. We don't want to miss our work or whatever for 2 weeks quarantine, even though they didn't have to quarantine in the end. Like we said before, Andrew and Jace Moloney and Tony Tolj fly around the world and have quarantined 6 months of their life for fighting. So, I mean, I'm doing it myself in a couple of weeks to tell. I don't want to be away from my life, but, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm willing to do that. So, I believe it should have went ahead. Maybe his team should have took better care of him and sort of protected him so he didn't get so much slander. He didn't deserve that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, the show went ahead and they weren't there. So what what can you say? But I mean, yes, I think his team should have probably looked after him a bit more, and if he's get a team that will travel with you and back you 1,000,000%. That's not taking shots at anyone, but that's it. The show went ahead without him. So
Pete, what do
I
you
wish
think,
him
mate?
all the best. I wish him all the best in his career because he's a very good talent.
Pete?
I'm hoping the fight happens. I mean, look, it was just unfortunate the fight never happened. I mean, I know Michael's probably hoping it happens in Melbourne, so he gets it on his own terms. And obviously that fight's it's got a lot to play out. Hopefully they end up meeting, because I think Australian boxing would be healthier for it. I think it'd be a great fight. And I wasn't part of the deal. I don't know what was happening in between talks, so I can't comment. I'm not in that position to say the way. Apparently they wanted a COVID plan to guarantee they didn't have to quarantine, or they wanted something official, and that wasn't brought forward. I don't know. I'm only going on hearsay, so I shouldn't really be commenting. But if a fight was in Melbourne, I mean, obviously it would have been different. At the time, we were COVID free, so we could have possibly put the fight on in Melbourne. It didn't happen. I'm sure in the near future it will happen, and Michael will, he'll keep having a win, and Tim keeps winning, and it becomes a bigger fight. Yeah,
no, I agree. And look, I think from my point of view, I agree with Tazzie. Look, Michael is a great guy. I know he's probably from the Anthony Mundine sort of school of perception, I suppose. And a lot of the Aussie boxing fans are giving him all sorts of stick. But if you actually meet him, he's such a great guy. Does a lot of charity work and everything else. And the one thing I will say about him is that what was really unfair against him was that he chickened out and he's a cat and all this sort of bullshit. End of the day, if you know Michael Zarafa, there's no way he's not going to fight Tim Tszyu if there's any good reason. This is the guy that went to Russia. I think, well, Pete, you organised that fight, went to Russia as pretty much a kid, went to New York and fought Quillen. He fought Kell Brook in his backyard. So I don't buy at all that he chickened out, because that's just crap. But I do agree with you, Tazzie, that I think he did get some bad advice. And I think... I must admit, I was curious myself that I think one of you said that Barry Michael and Kamakao and I flew up on the day. I think Will Tomlinson flew up on the day of the event as well. So I'm not sure where this comes from about.
The next day.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it comes from about the COVID plan, about we can't get in and out properly. I don't understand that, especially, and I know there's always two sides of the story. So, but from what I saw from the Rose side of things is that, or the No Limit side, is that they offered the private plane and fly in and fly out. I know Michael or his team said something about he couldn't actually take his team. I can't see how that would possibly be correct, where No Limit would say you've got to come by yourself. That's you don't run a big event at or whatever level without allowing to take the team. So I'm not sure where that comes from.
I think some of his team just wasn't willing to go.
Yeah, well maybe that's it. But Pete, I'm with you. I'm not going to comment on stuff I don't know about. I'm just going by what I've seen and read and all the rest of it. But what I will say is, was he judged unfairly? I don't think he was judged unfairly that he caught the stick for pulling out of the fight. I just think he was unfairly judged for the attitude towards him personally about why he pulled out, because it definitely wasn't Michael's doing, I don't think, and that's where I agree with you, Tazzie. I just think he's maybe had the advice from his team maybe wasn't quite right. But I think from my point of view, before we finish up, was that it wasn't so much the team advice to pull out of the fight. I just think they sort of left him sort of hung out to dry a little bit afterwards, because the abuse was coming. All you got to do was check social media. The abuse was coming from left, right and centre. And I don't know whether the advice was let's just lay low for a few days or a week, whatever it was, and then respond. But I just think maybe it should have been an immediate press conference. I know there was one scheduled and it was cancelled and it just didn't happen. And there wasn't really the, hey guys, this is what's going on, because there was all this speculation and innuendo. And I think that just made it worse, because one thing I'll say about the Australian boxing fans, when they lay it on pretty thick, and I just think it was pretty unfair that some of the treatment that he got in that way. So,
100%. But I mean, when you have a team like the Moloneys, you go to America,
100%.
You quarantine for 2 weeks, and Tony Tolj quarantined for 4 weeks. Yep. I mean, the magnitude of that fight and the money you make. If that was me, if I was fighting for that money, win or lose, I'm sitting back in the hotel, going, I've made that money, 2 weeks, beautiful. I'll have me dessert, I'll eat. I mean, I think it's definitely not him, but I think his team needs to sort of cop a bit there, and it is what it is. You know what I mean? They should have really protected him more, or fair dinkum and going, well, look, he might need another team because we're not prepared to travel and give up our work. Well,
and I must
Tony
admit,
Tolj and Angelo Hyder give up their jobs.
Yeah, well, that's right. I must admit, I did find that sort of bewildering about the not wanting to quarantine and all the rest of it, because, well, look at George Kambosos as well, on and off. He's probably been back and forth and in quarantine and out of quarantine for the last part of nearly 12 months. I mean, the guy... I
think he's going to miss his baby's birth.
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard.
That's sacrifice. Moloney's have been to America and back 3 times in quarantine, and as we said before, Tony, I look... Again, there's 2 sides of the story. I'm not going to speculate that they out now said we're just not going to do it.
No, I agree.
But...
Yeah. And I wish him all the best because, as I said,
me too.
He's an nice guy.
Yep.
And he can box. So I hope he gets his shot, middleweight, and I wish him all the best. You know what I mean? So
I hope he gives back to the Australian boxing public a little bit by taking on the head splitter. I think it'll be a great fight for the Aussie public. Probably not so much for his international ranking and that sort of stuff, because I don't think Hardman probably presents that. But I think maybe if he was to, what do you reckon, Pete, if he was to maybe take the fight with Hardman, it might just be a little bit of way of, and I know there's the Fox Sports issue as well, they're not wanting to deal with him at the moment, but I just think that might go a small way of just sort of getting back in the good graces of the Aussie public.
Look, during COVID, it's going to be hard to get anything done, let's be honest. So
for the fight makes sense, doesn't it?
When would that fight take place, and where would it take place? I mean, now in Melbourne, we're getting 700 cases a day. Gyms are shut down.
Well, it'll probably have to be in Queensland. But I'm
sure...
Yeah, sorry, mate. Go ahead.
No, I was going to... So I'm sure once we open up and everything, Michael's looking at international fights. And he needs to do it. He's heading to 29, 30 years of age. He's ready now to take on international fights, whether it's a head splitter, whoever it might be. But I'm sure that he's not happy with the situation he's in at the moment, where it's left the way.
Well, exactly. He's had one fight in 2 years, or nearly 2 years, and it was the first round knockout of Anthony Mundine. So surely he's got to be sitting there saying, I just want to fight. And that's why I understand it. Hardman's not necessarily the big fight that he wants and needs to get himself back in the world. But this is COVID times. You've got to do what you got to do.
The big Australian fight.
Big Australian fight. In that fight. Exactly. And as I said, I just think it'd be a real good opportunity for him to say,
they both talk shit to each other.
Yep, and they can have it in Queensland. You've got Tasman fighters up there, or DNL events, whatever. They put it on no drum, be a massive fight.
I'll do it in Tasmania.
Done. There you go. Down in Tazzie.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You can catch a boat over.
Yeah.
Tasman.
All right, guys. We've talked about that enough. Let's hope that that we all can move on, and hopefully for Zarafa's sake that he can get back into the good graces of the Aussie boxing public. So, which brings us to our last segment, guys. We've gone well over tonight, so we'll go through it. But it's time for everyone's probably second favourite subject, I think, aside from Tazzie's tirade, and that's the world famous boxing deep dive quiz. Tazzie Brown versus Peter Maniatis. So, what we do here, we've got 10 questions or 9 questions, and then a who am I. Last week, Tazzie got the chocolates. The week before that was Peter. So 1-1. Tazzie's been able to sleep for the last week. He'll be allowed back into his gym. So all's good.
Like a baby.
Good. Well, let's just see how we go tonight. Let's get into it, boys, straight away. Now, again, it'll be call out your name. I will then give you the opportunity to speak. If I need more information, I'll say more information. If it's the other person, don't chime in with the answer. Just give them a chance, and we'll go from there. All right. Start off with some Aussie questions to get the ball rolling. Number 1, name the 2 female boxers on this year's Tokyo Olympics team.
Sky Nicholson, Tazzie.
Yep.
Sky Nicholson and lost the other one.
Right, Pete, you got an opportunity?
No, I don't.
You don't know it. Caitlin Parker was the other one. So and both fought very, very well, especially Sky, of course. And let's hope she can go one better at the next Olympics. Number 2, what was the name of the big punching American that Barry Michael beat in 1981?
Peter.
Tazzie.
Peter.
Hurricane Carter.
What was his first name? Can you remember?
No, Hurricane. It was at Melbourne Town Hall.
Yeah, but it's actually wrong. I'm going to give Pete Tazzie a chance. Tazzie?
Ray.
Sorry?
Ray Carter?
No.
Ray Carter?
Al Earthquake Carter was his
No,
name, Pete.
Earthquake.
Not Hurricane Carter. So it was 0-0.
Hurricane and Earthquake.
Yeah,
Hurricane
Earthquake.
and Earthquake. Yeah.
And I think if you talk to Barry now, he still considers it probably his toughest fight, that one. So, all right, number 3, 0-0. What was the result? I want the full result here of the second fight between Jeff Harding and Dennis Andrews.
Tazzie.
Peter.
Tazzie?
It was a stoppage victory for Dennis Andres.
Yeah, what round?
I think 5.
No, Pete?
7th.
Yep, 7th round KO at the Melbourne Park, I think it was. So 1 to Pete. Another Aussie one. Name the 2 Aussies who have both fought Shea Mosley.
Tazzie.
Peter.
Tazzie?
Anthony Mundine and Shannon Taylor.
Yeah, good one. Yep, both fought Shea Mosley. Shannon probably fought him a little bit more closer to his peak than Anthony, but still a great...
He fought him when he was a pound-for-pound king of boxing, just beat De La Hoya.
He was IBF
yeah,
champion.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, last Australian question. Name a common opponent. So a common opponent of both Jeff Fennick and Lester Ellis.
Tazzie.
Tazzie?
Calvin Grove.
Yes, Calvin Grove. Do you know who the other one was? You've got the question. You've got it right, but can you remember that there was another one?
Yes, I do. Tony
Aussie
Miller.
fighter. What was that?
Tony Miller.
Was Tony Mad Dog Miller. Great fighter in his own right. And actually was very, very unlucky not to beat Lester Ellis. You probably would have seen that.
Do I
Peter.
get an extra point? Do I get an extra point, Lyndon, or
Nah,
what?
sorry, mate. No, sorry. So what have we got? 2-1, I think it is.
2-1.
All right. But who's counting, Tazzie? All right. This I expect you to get this one, Tazzie. Who did Thomas Hearns beat to win the WBO super middleweight title?
Tazzie.
Yeah,
Peter.
Tazzie. WBO super middleweight title.
WBO super middleweight.
Super middleweight. WBO.
WBO super middleweight. It was
5,
the WBO wasn't
2, 1.
Michael OJ.
No.
Michael OJ.
Nah, Pete, you get the crack at it.
Kitchen.
What's his first name?
Yeah. Tazzie.
Hang on, give him a chance. Last name's
He's
right.
just answered it. He's just answered it wrong. How many times can you get?
No, he's not. No, you can't get another crack, Tazzie. But I'm giving you a chance. He's got a first name. The nickname, the Heat.
Can't remember, but it was Kitchen.
Yeah, James the Heat Kinchin was his name.
Kitchen. Yeah.
So we needed the full name. Sorry, Pete. I'm the adjudicator
So
here.
Hurricane becomes Carter.
Hey,
so
well, come on, you.
See, this is. I can see where this is going.
Where's it going?
What's his name? Kitchen. It doesn't matter. I think that's
No,
enough.
no. I need the full name. James Kinchin was his name. We can't just have half guesses here. All right.
All right.
So, what is the name of the movie based on Mickey Ward's career?
Tazzie.
Yep.
Fighter.
The fighter. Yep. Exactly. So, what's that? 3-1. All right. Name the brothers who both won gold at the '76 Olympics.
Tazzie.
Yep.
Leon and Michael Spinks.
Yep. Come on, Pete. Spark up a bit there. 4-1. Before Mayweather versus Pacquiao, what was the biggest pay-per-view of all time?
Tazzie.
Yep.
Floyd Mayweather, Oscar De La Hoya.
Certainly was. Can you remember what it did?
Probably 3 million plus buys.
2.4 was Mayweather De La Hoya. 4.6
Yeah.
was Mayweather Pacquiao.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tazzie's got it. Come on, Pete. Let's see if you can get the last one. Who am I? I was born on October 29th, 1980. After a successful amateur career, I turned pro in 2001 and won my first world title in 2004. I defended the title 6 times before winning my second world title in a different weight division 2 years later in 2006. I defended that title 3 times before losing it in controversial fashion in 2008. I was involved in another 14 world title fights over the next 9 years before retiring in 2017.
I know who this is.
Yeah, did you want to have a crack?
Eric Morales.
No. I'll give you the remaining clues there, Tazzie. I fought greats like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao and Canelo Alvarez to name a few. My final professional record was 41-6 with 33 KOs. I am...
Sugar Shane Mosley.
No, Miguel Cotto.
Cotto.
Yep, Cotto. Yep. So,
He also fought Mayweather and Pacquiao and Canelo,
yeah, I was going to throw in that he was really try and throw is that he was born in Providence, Rhode Island. I thought that might have thrown you because he's obviously seen as being Puerto Rican. So,
yeah, that's the but I knew it was Morales. When you mentioned that thing, I thought it was Morales, but then I knew it was Cotto.
When did he retired before 2017 though, didn't he, Morales?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 216. I think was it?
Was it? Okay.
He might have retired.
Yeah.
Tazzie wins easy tonight, mate.
All right. Well, I'm not sure Pete will be back next week to do the quiz. I think I might have upset him there, but we just need the full answer. I should have specified that at the start. You know, all right.
That was easy work tonight, mate. Yeah. Easy work.
Well, come on, Pete. I expect you to dust yourself off, take a deep breath, and back up next week.
I'm going to sleep. It's going to be the best weekend this weekend. I'm going to have some pasta. I'm going to have a really good night. Get a pizza.
Good work. Well
done, Tazzie.
Great show tonight, boys. It was excellent with having Andy and Tony on, and obviously the segments. I think we got a bit out of it. So I wouldn't mind actually discussing a few of those points a bit further, maybe either in Tazzie's tirade or a talking point or whatever. So I think some of the things we talked about tonight was great. So thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks,
and
cheers,
see you
guys.
next week.
Awesome. Have a great weekend, Pete, Lyndon. See you, boys.
Okay,
Thanks, guys.
see you guys.